You remember when riding meant two wheels, a long road, and nothing but your brothers beside you. Now Harley's pushing trikes harder than ever, and they're calling it freedom. But freedom for who? Every trike rolling off the line keeps a rider locked into the brand, spending more, visiting the shop more, and never walking away. Dealers love it. The factory needs it. Because without trikes, Harley's touring soul dies with the riders who built it. This isn't about keeping you on the road, it's about keeping you on the payroll. Stay till the end, because the real story behind Harley's trike obsession isn't what they're telling you in the brochure. The real trike strategy. Harley keeps building trikes because they keep experienced riders from quitting the brand. Dealers saw the problem years ago. Riders who'd spent decades on big touring rigs started coming in with injuries, medical setbacks, and balance that wasn't holding up like it used to. Instead of trading up, they were handing over the keys and saying, "I'm done." Dealer retention reports made it obvious. When there was no three-wheel option on the floor, those riders disappeared from the books. No more service visits, no more trades, no more jackets and parts walking out the door. Once trikes arrived in real volume, the pattern flipped. Those same riders came back asking a simple question: how do I stay on the road without feeling like I am giving up? Sales logs show the answer. A rider who would have left with nothing instead signs for a trike and stays in the system for another decade of oil changes, tires, and trade cycles. The choice is not between a bike and a trike. The choice is between a trike and no Harley at all. From a veteran manager's chair, three wheels are not an experiment. They are a retention tool that keeps the loyal core from aging out and taking their money, stories, and loyalty with them. Once you see how trikes plug that leak, the next question is how much extra cash each one actually puts on the table. The hidden trike profit. Here is the blunt financial truth. Trikes do not only save customers, they make each deal bigger. When you stack a month of invoices side by side, the pattern is impossible to miss. Standard cruisers and tours often roll out close to base price with a few tasteful extras. Trikes rarely leave that bare. The starting figure is higher, and the option list fills up fast. Factory trikes are packaged as premium machines. They come loaded with comfort and touring features, but the real booster is how easily buyers agree to even more. Taller screens, better seats, extra lights, upgraded audio, racks, luggage, painted parts, and cosmetic trim slide into the paperwork with far less pushback. A rider already spending serious money for stability and comfort does not blink as hard at another chunk for gear that protects joints and makes long days easier. Conversion packages inflate the total even more. Riders who already own a big touring Harley often choose a conversion instead of trading down or walking away. The base bike is paid for, which makes the conversion kit, labor hours, and fresh accessories feel like an investment rather than a whole new note. On the spreadsheet, those jobs push average transaction value well above a simple trade between two standard machines. From the analyst's point of view, trikes are not a side category. They are the transactions that fatten the monthly average and keep the whole line's numbers looking healthy. Once the ink dries on the sale, the real long-term value of a trike owner shows up in the parts and service lanes. If you value straight talk about what Harley is really doing, hit like so this reaches riders, subscribe for deep dives that respect your miles, and tell me your take in the comments so other old-school riders can weigh in. The long-term trike revenue. The sale is only the opening move. Parts and service tell the real story, and on that front, trike owners often turn into a dealership's most dependable customers. Look at accessory numbers. Three-wheel riders lean heavily toward comfort and protection. They buy better backrests, trunk organizers, upgraded lighting, extra chrome, and covers built for the larger footprint. Every one of those pieces carries stronger margin than the machine itself. Service behavior stands out even more. A lot of two-wheel riders still gamble and skip extended coverage, figuring they can wrench their way out of most problems. Trike owners think differently. They know repair bills are no joke, and they plan to ride these machines for the long haul. The machines themselves drive more work through the shop. Extra hardware means more moving parts to monitor. There are additional brakes, more suspension to keep in line, and alignment checks that do not exist on a basic bike. Service tickets for trikes routinely carry more labor hours, And they show up on schedule because the owners see that maintenance as the price of staying free on the road. From the parts and service office, a healthy base of Trike, customers smooths out slow seasons and keeps payroll covered when other segments wobble. Once the dealership side is clear, you can stand back and see how Trikes fit into the factory's bigger plan to protect its touring soul, the strategy behind. For the people planning Harley's future, Trikes are more than just profitable units. They are a shield around the part of the company that actually defines it. The touring and heritage line is not just another category on a chart. Those big machines carry the long-haul stories, club patches, and thousand-mile memories that built the brand's image in the first place. Trouble is, that segment has been pinched from both ends. Younger riders often avoid heavy tourers because of cost, weight, and changing tastes. Riders are being forced off two wheels by health, balance, or simple fatigue. Without a bridge, the core touring category would slowly bleed out. Fewer miles, fewer cross-country stories, less reason for anyone to dream about owning a big American rig at all. Market reports hint at why the factory will not let that happen. In regions where Trikes are pushed hard and supported well, the touring share does not collapse the way pure two-wheel lines do. The classic baggers still sell to riders who can handle them, while Trikes scoop up the veterans who refuse to trade their patch for a rocking chair. The silhouette, the sound, and the culture stay visible on Main Street, even if there are two tires under the rear fender. From a brand strategist's desk, that matters. Keeping the touring and heritage story alive buys time for whatever comes next, and keeps the company from drifting into being just another anonymous machine builder. Three wheels are the compromise that lets pride, tradition, and long-distance identity survive in a world that keeps trying to push riders off the road. Design that protects the brand. Designers started with one rule: a Trike has to feel like a Harley before anything else. If the sound, shake, and stance are wrong, riders walk away. They are not shopping for a science project. They want the same pulse they knew on two wheels, just with more stability under them. So the styling team kept the familiar cues: big tank, wide bars, strong fenders, classic paint lines, exhaust that looks right and talks in that low, steady growl. Even from across a parking lot, a factory Trike is meant to say one thing: still Harley. When you fire it, the V-twin beat is tuned to carry that same bar shake and heartbeat riders remember from long trips decades ago. It is no accident a Trike looks like a big touring Harley that just sprouted extra meat at the rear axle. Once you understand how they protected the soul on top, you can look underneath and see where the chassis choices quietly reshape how these machines behave on real roads. Stability versus feel trade-off. Under the paint, every Trike is a compromise between expectation and physics. Riders expect a heavy, planted feel that reminds them of a big tourer, not a twitchy go-kart. Engineers, on the other hand, have to make a machine that tracks straight, corners predictably, and does not punish the rider with surprise moves when the road goes bad. Layout decisions show that tug of war. A traditional Delta setup with two wheels at the rear gives that classic big back-end look and strong straight-line confidence. The weight sits low and wide, so the machine feels like it digs into the pavement when you hammer across broken highway. The trade is in corners. Without lean, the chassis resists turn-in, and suspension tuning becomes critical to keep the outside tire from carrying too much load. You can feel that thinking in every stable sweep of an on-ramp or lazy back-road curve. Once the frame and layout are set, the next decision is whether to build the whole thing in one piece or stack a conversion kit on top of a standard bike. One piece beats aftermarket. From the warranty office, the cleanest solution is simple: build the Trike as a single integrated machine from the factory, not as a bolt-on afterthought. When three wheels are planned from day one, every cable run, harness route, and bracket location is mapped to avoid chafing, weak grounds, or awkward strain angles that haunt conversion jobs later. Warranty data backs it up. Factory Trikes show more consistent patterns: normal wear, the occasional part failure, but far fewer mystery electrical gremlins or alignment nightmares. Conversion rigs, especially older or bargain kits, can pile stress onto frames never designed for that extra width and weight. That is when cracks, odd handling, and dead short complaints start showing in the claim portal. An integrated build also means one point of responsibility. When the frame, final drive, braking system, and bodywork are all under the same badge, customers know who has to make it right. Dealers have access to full documentation. Techs can plug into known diagnostic trees instead of guessing what an aftermarket installer did 10 years ago behind some panel. Once the bones and wiring are sorted, the last major piece is the rider's actual touchpoints, because comfort on a Trike is not a luxury. It is the whole reason many riders buy in. How Trikes fight fatigue. Look at how a Trike seats its rider, and you will see the target customer. Seat height is set, so aging knees do not scream every time someone swings a leg over. The cushion shape spreads weight wider, fighting hip pain on all-day runs. Back support is pronounced. You sit in the machine rather than perched on top of it. Control placement follows the same logic. Bars come back closer, lowering strain on shoulders that have already spent decades wrestling wide ape hangers and stock bagger setups. Floorboards are big, flat, and positioned to let ankles and hips settle into natural angles. The reach to the levers is softened. Wind management gets more attention here than many realize. Shields and fairings are shaped to divert blast from the chest and helmet without creating pressure on the neck. Side deflectors tame the buffeting that used to beat riders up on naked or half-fared bikes. The result is a quiet pocket where someone with 50,000 pass miles can do another 500 without reaching for pain pills. Once you see how deeply the design, chassis, integration, and ergonomics all bend toward keeping seasoned riders comfortable without giving up that old Harley feeling, the real motive behind the Trike push stops being a mystery and starts looking like long-term survival planning for both the company and the culture. Why Trike service costs more? Independent mechanics see it every week. A rider walks in expecting a routine service, then gets blindsided by what a Trike really demands. The intervals on basic fluids may look familiar on paper, yet the labor behind the job is not the same. More bodywork to move, more wheels to pull, more hardware in the way of simple checks. Labor time guides prove it. A job that takes 1 hour on a regular touring bike can stretch to 2 or more on a 3-wheeler. Access to rear brakes, driveline parts, and suspension components is tighter. Some lifts do not fit the rear end without adapters. That slows everything down. Independent shops either charge more or avoid Trikes altogether because the bay time kills their schedule. What feels like a simple change from 2 wheels to 3 quickly reshapes the costs rolling in from the street, office, and state as well. If you want veteran-level breakdowns on where Harley and the whole motorcycle market are really heading, subscribe before you forget. Each new video gives you an edge as a rider who still cares about money, pride, and long-haul freedom out hidden paperwork costs. On the paperwork side, Trikes live in a strange gap. Some insurers treat them as motorcycles, others put them closer to compact cars, and a few use special 3-wheel categories buried in internal memos. Each choice moves the premium in a different direction. Riders only see the final number and wonder how it jumped so much. Rate sheets tell the real story. When an underwriter files Trikes under a broader recreational class, liability and collision numbers often climb. Extra weight, passenger use, and higher average age of the rider get folded into the risk models. Some carriers factor in the cost of body panels and rear assemblies that are harder to repair. That all shows up as a quiet surcharge over what the same rider paid on 2 wheels. Registration can add another twist. Certain states classify 3-wheelers differently for fees, tags, and inspection schedules. In some regions, a Trike dodges special motorcycle restrictions. In others, it triggers extra charges or odd equipment rules. Riders only learn this when they are standing at the counter, pen in hand, wondering why the total has grown again. What the state and insurer do on paper still has to meet reality in the driveway when it is time to sell or trade the machine. The resale value trap. Used market numbers bring another dose of reality. An appraiser looking at Trikes does not just see paint and chrome. He sees time to sale, buyer pool size, and how far a machine has drifted from factory layout. Certified factory Trikes tend to move faster because buyers trust that the frame, wiring, and geometry all left the plant as one piece. Conversion rigs, or heavily customized three-wheelers, tell a different tale. Records show they often sit longer on the lot. Some never sell at full asking price. Shoppers worry about hidden stress on frames, unknown installers, and future parts compatibility. Even tasteful custom paint or wheels can narrow the buyer pool. What one rider thought was perfect can look like future hassle to the next. That does not mean you should never personalize a trike. It means saving stock parts, documenting every change, and respecting how far you push away from factory spec. Once resale and customization are understood, the last piece of the ownership puzzle is how you protect yourself before something major fails. The smart warranty strategy. From a general manager's chair, the smartest trike owners are not always the flashiest. They are the ones who read every line of coverage before signing. Factory warranties give a solid baseline, yet serious miles, and the extra load of 3 wheels mean many big failures show up after that first window closes. That is where extended plans and certified programs matter. Certified pre-owned trikes go through deeper checks. Frames, rear assemblies, electronics, and driveline components get measured against set standards. Problems get fixed before the machine hits the floor again. In exchange, the buyer gets coverage that often stretches further than a random used unit from a private seller. Claims data shows fewer nasty surprises on certified units, even years later. Extended warranties tailored for trikes can also be worth the cost if they actually cover the right systems. Reverse mechanisms, extra brake components, complex lighting, and body hardware all bring higher repair bills. Plans that include those parts turn a potential gut punch invoice into a manageable deductible. The peace of mind is not imaginary. Owners ride farther from home, more often, when they know a major failure will not wreck their budget. When you step back from the numbers, it becomes clear that trikes are not only a way to stay on the road, they are a commitment to a different kind of ownership, where the right shop, smart paperwork, careful customization, and solid protection all matter as much as the badge on the tank. Copy Harley or double down. From an industry analyst's chair, Harley's Trike push put every other big brand on the clock. Once 3-wheel Harleys started showing up in serious numbers on dealer floors and rally parking lots, rivals had 2 choices: copy that lane or double down on pure 2-wheel identity. You can see the split just by watching product announcements over the last several years. Some makers quietly added their own 3-wheel touring rigs, or at least partnered with conversion companies. They are chasing the same aging riders Harley is keeping, hoping to catch anybody who feels priced out or burned by a local dealer. Their brochures lean on comfort, cargo, and confidence, using almost the same language Harley sales teams have used with touring buyers for years. Others plant a flag on the opposite hill. They drop weight, sharpen handling, and make a point of saying they build motorcycles, not trikes. Catalogs from those companies brag about lean angle, power to weight, and real rider feel. The message is clear. If you are still young enough or stubborn enough to handle 2 wheels, they want your loyalty. Harley's move into trikes gives them a handy contrast to sell against. Once the brands stake their ground, lawmakers and agencies still have to decide what these 3-wheelers actually are in the eyes of the state. Legal gray areas. Explained. Policy. People know that what you ride is only half the story. How the state classifies that machine decides where you can go, what license you need, and which rules follow you down the road. Trikes live in a patchwork. Every state house seems to have its own opinion on whether 3-wheelers belong with bikes, cars, or some special middle lane. Look at Department of Motor Vehicles language across different regions. In some states, a trike falls under the same endorsement as a motorcycle. Riders test once, then choose 2 or 3 wheels freely. In other places, a trike can be operated with a standard driver license. No separate bike test required. That might sound like a win until you realize certain motorcycle privileges do not apply, like specific lane treatments or access in some controlled areas. Equipment rules change too. A state that views trikes as closer to small cars may demand different lighting layouts, plate positions, or even helmet rules. Cross a state line on a multi-day trip, and you might be perfectly legal on one side, technically out of compliance on the other. Lawyers who deal with traffic cases read these small details constantly, because one line in one statute can decide how a crash report is written. Legal language can be confusing, yet it is only one side of the change. Back in the shops, dealers are scrambling to keep enough people trained to work on everything rolling in. The trike skills gap. Walk through a big dealership's service department and parts counter, and you will feel the shift in hiring. A Trike is not just another bike to roll on a lift. It is heavier, wider, and packed with more unique hardware. Shops that ignored that for too long watched bays jam up and techs struggle. Human resources managers started posting very specific job ads in response. Recent listings talk about trike experience, chassis alignment skills, and comfort working with heavy touring rigs. Training budgets reflect the change. Dealers send techs to additional classes just to cover three-wheel maintenance and diagnostics. That costs real money, yet the payoff is fewer costly mistakes and faster turnaround time. Local trade schools even adjust their programs, adding modules for three-wheel geometry and body fitment. For small towns, that matters. A regional dealer hiring extra techs or paying for advanced training puts more wage dollars into the area. Skilled mechanics who get comfortable with trikes can command higher pay or move between shops more easily. Their careers broaden beyond basic oil changes and tire swaps into more complex, better-paying work. As the work culture shifts around them, riders themselves are sorting out what three-wheel life means for the traditions that built Harley's name. Pride on three wheels. Talk to longtime club officers and you will hear it plain. The sight of a Harley trike in a lineup used to raise eyebrows. Some riders saw three wheels as giving up. Others quietly wondered if the culture they grew up with could survive on anything except big two-wheel dressers. Then the miles started stacking, and the stories changed. Riders who had logged decades on road kings and full-dress tourers showed up on trikes after surgeries, health scares, or just plain age. They were still doing cross-state runs, still backing friends in rough spots, still wrenching in their garages. The machine changed, the commitment did not. Club bylaws that once ignored three-wheelers got rewritten. Runs that once demanded only traditional bikes shifted to, if you are in the wind, you are in. Interviews from long rides capture the adjustment. Some old-timers admit they miss the lean of a heavy bagger. Many follow that by saying they are simply grateful to still ride to meets and pay respects at funerals under their own power. Pride moves from the number of wheels under you to the miles you still manage to lay down and the brothers and sisters you show up for. So that's the real story behind Harley's trike push. It's not about freedom, it's about survival, theirs and yours. Now here's my question for you. If you've ridden both, would you go back to two wheels, or are three wheels the only way you stay on the road? Let me know in the comments below. And if you got value out of this breakdown, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment so this reaches more riders who deserve the truth. Because the more we talk about what's really going on, the harder it is for the suits to ignore us. I'll see you in the next one.